Hello there, crafty friends. It's Alicia of the Call Me Crafty YouTube channel, and I am back today to make another alternative for the July 2019 paper pumpkin kit. I hope you'll stick around and see what I make. Thanks so much for stopping by today. If you're new to my channel, I hope by the end of the video that you'll be inspired to click that subscribe button below and maybe even tap on that little bell. If you're already a regular viewer and subscriber, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. As I mentioned in the intro, I will be making another alternative card today for the July 2019 paper pumpkin kit, and this one is the On My Mind kit. Yesterday's video, I shared with you how I created these 3 clear cards that basically followed the instruction sheet. If you want to check out that video as well as any other alternatives that I make this month, I will have that playlist linked in the description box below, and I'll actually go ahead and add it to the end of this video as a thumbnail. I almost forgot. For last month's alternatives, my sand shaker cards were my most popular video, and in today's video, I'm going to be trying out another sand shaker. Before I get started on the card, I thought I would tell you some of the supplies that I'll be using, both from the kit and from my stash. So from the kit, for the stamps, I will be using the Hello Friend and the seashell, and I have already went ahead and pre-mounted those on some clear blocks. I got the twine out. I'm not sure yet if I'll use it, but it is here. Because I'm making a shaker, I will be using some of the foam pieces that came with the kit. I'll be using that outer circle. I got out the gems to maybe put some on there. This piece was part of one of the cards that I had to cut down for my cards yesterday. The front has kind of that tan pattern and the back is just a solid. I will probably put my sentiment on one of these sides. I got out the boat wheel, the ship, the stitched circle. I don't know if you noticed that, but there is some stitching detail on the outer edge. 2 of the clouds, along with the striped card. I will actually be using the front and back of this like cardstock though, and before I came on camera, made my own card base. Now for some of the items that are not from the kit, I got out a 1 1/4 inch circle punch, and it fits pretty well behind the circular part of the ship's wheel. Now, because I'm going to make a shaker card with sand, I did get out my jar of sand. I bought this for last month's card from Michael's using a coupon, and I still have tons left, so I want to be using this. I know sometimes Dollar Tree will have little bags of sand too. You could always look there. I got out a piece of clear cardstock. This is just a scrap, and I'm going to try to punch it with this punch for my shaker window. The clear cardstock I use are actually clear report covers that I buy off Amazon. In yesterday's video, I used the 10 mil clear covers to make my card bases, and for today's shaker window, this is the 7 mil. I'm sure if you wanted to buy some of this for shaker windows, you could get away with 5 or 3 mil and it would be just fine, but I will link this below if you want to go check it out. And finally, for my non-kit item, I will be using the July 2019 sheet load of cards layout for this card. Now, not only with the sheet load of cards can you make a lot of cards, but I also always give you the dimensions if you just want to make one. I really like this layout. I thought it would go well with the striped paper and the boat. I will kind of be flipping it to the side, and I will actually be using the striped paper for the middle section and the top and bottom, and you'll see how I do that. Are you ready to get started? The first thing I'm going to do is cut both of these in half so each one becomes 2 pieces, and it's kind of just like having 2 pieces of cardstock or pattern paper. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the striped paper. I'm going to cut it so it's the same width as this middle section. Now on the sheet load of cards, This is actually two different pieces, but because of how I need to use my layout today, I will actually keep it all the way across. So I will be cutting this to 2.5 inches wide. And then this leftover, I'm just gonna cut it in half. And then for my green cardstock, I'm going to cut this to 2 3/4 inches wide, and that will just give me a nice mat behind my striped paper. I'm going to go ahead and get most of my card base done, or at least as much as I can. So I want to make sure that I have the stripes aligned to the correct side, just so it will flow okay on the card. And because some of the other pieces of my card are going to have dimension, I'm going to make this card base pretty flat. So I'm going to go ahead and put my other piece of striped paper onto the green mat and then put this down onto that card front as well. So it's still completely filled with that striped pattern, but I like how that border gives it just a little bit of a definition. So earlier I did forget to mention a couple of the things that I'm going to be using, and those are my inks. I of course will be using the Stamp and Spot that comes with the kit, which is in Pretty Peacock. And then because I want a watermark effect on the circle with what I stamp, I got out my Versamark. So the first thing I'll do is I'm going to use this shell and just, again, stamp it in the background of this circle as kind of a watermark, just to give a little bit more depth to this piece. It's probably going to be hard to see on camera, but I promise it does have a watermark look to it. And now I'm going to try out my Hello Friend, since I haven't inked it up yet and I do want it to look nice on the final piece. Before I came on camera, I actually did put a layer of Versamark on this stamp. I just think it helps hold the ink a little bit better, especially when it's new. I'm going to use the piece that kind of has the texture look to it. And I will be stamping it to the right edge, but leaving enough room because I will be putting a fishtail in the end. Now you might notice I got out this black pad to do my stamping. Because the clear stamps don't have any foam pad on the back like a regular wood mount or a regular cling, you do need some cushion. So if you're interested in looking for this, they also sell a smaller size, I believe. I will link this in my description box below. Because I want to give some time for my ship's wheel to adhere to the clear cardstock, I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So like I said before, I'm going to try to punch a circle out of this. And then, using my glue sponge, which I love, I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of that ship's wheel. You'll want to make sure if you get a glue sponge that you store it upside down. I learned the hard way to follow the instructions, because if you don't, all the glue goes to the bottom and then you have none to put on your piece. All you'll do though, and I do have my work surface protected, this is a Dollar Tree cutting mat. I love it. I can watercolor and do some things with water and not affect my background. So you just kind of push it down into that pad. And then there is glue all over the back. And I'm just going to set that down on top of my clear cardstock. I know that's hard to see on camera. And then I'm going to set this to the side again, just to let that dry nice and well. And just so you know, when I took it off camera to let it dry, I did put a stamp block on top of it just to give it some pressure so it would seal nicely to that clear cardstock. Let's go ahead now and start working on the rest of the layout. So the ship and the circle are going to kind of go on the card where the image or sentiment would be if you use this like a regular sheet load. And I'm trying to find the watermark part and make sure I have a good part that's showing. And because the shaker is going to have some dimension, I think that I will only pop up the boat and then the dimension of the shaker. So I'm going to go ahead and just adhere the circle down to the card front. And I will bring in my sentiment. Before I adhere that down, I want to make a fishtail in the end. And all I did to cut that fishtail is I cut a little snip up the center, and then I'm cutting in from each side to where that ended. I also don't think I mentioned earlier, I am using the dimensionals from the kit. This will give my boat some lift up off the card front. I'm so glad they came out with these smaller dimensionals because they get in those tight spots nicely without having to cut them. So I placed my clouds so you could still see them when I go to put my ship wheel in there later. And now I'm just going to give the ship wheel a little longer to dry, and we'll come back and make that shaker window. So I have let the ship's wheel set a little bit, so it is time to finish my card by creating my shaker. I will be using the foam ring that comes in the kit. And I'm just going to place it where I think there'll be enough space for the ship's wheel to fit. Try not to stretch this out because if you do, it's going to show from beneath the ship's wheel. And now I'm going to bring in my sand and my little Dollar Tree spoon and put a little bit of sand inside that foam ring. And the shaker element is done. We'll go ahead and add some of our sequins to the front of the card. And we'll go ahead and tie a little bow. I am going to bring in some smaller glue dots. These are just from past paper pumpkin kits. One of the great things is they always give you extra and they come in handy for other projects as well. I hope you enjoyed that look at how I created this alternative for the July 2019 paper pumpkin kit. If you did, as always, I appreciate a thumbs up. And until my next video, I hope you're having a crafty day. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch all the way to the end of the video. I hope that you'll consider clicking on one of the videos or playlists I have linked above. And if you're interested in any of the products or tools that I use in the video, I do have some links in the description box.